Hey everybody, it's Marvin from First Presbyterian Church in Columbia, Missouri, and the spirit of summer word for this last day in June is picnic. You know, when it's a warm but not too hot summer day and it's sunny, there is nothing like throwing a blanket out underneath a tree and pulling out from your picnic basket or your, your, what do you call those things? Your igloo container, like some cold fried chicken or some uh, potato salad or watermelon or something that tastes like summer, and enjoying food and enjoying the great outdoors and finding rest for your soul. And I don't know if you know this or not, but there is a famous, very famous picnic in the Bible. It's in all four of the Gospels, the biographies of Jesus, where Jesus miraculously feeds 5,000 people. And it goes like this: Jesus and his disciples were with a big crowd out in a deserted area in the outdoors, and Jesus had been preaching to them all day long, and they were just hanging on his every word. But the day was coming to an end, and the disciples said, "Well, it's time to cut this short, Jesus. Send the crowd home so they can get something for dinner, so they can get something to eat." And Jesus said, "Well, you give them something to eat." And they were like, "What? I mean, there's like 5,000 people here. We don't have enough food to feed all these people." And they kind of looked around and they say, "Oh, here's a kid. He's got 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, but what is that? I mean, how could you feed such a large crowd with just those meager supplies?" So Jesus says to the disciples, "Get everybody to sit down in the grass." So they all sat down in the green grass, and then Jesus took the loaves of bread and the fish, and he said a blessing over it. He gave thanks to God for it, and then he gave it to the disciples and said, "Start feeding the crowd." And somehow, everybody got fed. And not only that, but there were 12 like big baskets of leftovers after everybody had their meal. So it's an occasion where Jesus fed people's souls with his preaching all day long, and then fed their bodies at the end of a long day with just 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. So I'm wondering, in this picnic story from the Bible, who you identify with. I remember one of my New Testament professors said, try not to identify with Jesus when you're reading a story about Jesus. So let's limit ourselves to maybe the crowds or the disciples. Have you ever felt like the disciples before? You were confronted with needs that were just too great for your meager resources to supply. Well, if that's the case, then bring whatever you have, whether it's a small amount of money or a little bit of talent or a little bit of time, bring that to Jesus, and he can multiply the effect of that to do great good for great numbers of people. Trust that, believe that today. Do you identify with the crowd? Maybe you are a kind of person who is hanging on Jesus' every word, somebody who wants to get closer to Jesus. Well, know that Jesus has the power to feed our bodies and our souls. God created all things through Jesus Christ, and so the food that's on our table is a gift from him. So give thanks to the necessities of life. Give thanks to God for providing them in Jesus Christ, food and clothing and shelter. And know also that we have deeper hungers than that. We may have a hunger for forgiveness, and Jesus can supply that. We may be hungry for hope in this world where there is so much bad news. Jesus has been raised from the dead. He is our great hope. We may have hearts that have grown cold and cynical because of things that have happened to us over the years. Jesus can set a fire in our hearts and make them beat with love. So trust today that Jesus can feed your heart and your soul, and look to him for material and spiritual needs. Thanks for joining me today, and if you found this useful, I hope that you will share it with your friends on your social media networks. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can receive more Spirit of Summer updates throughout the summer, as well as receive updates about our worship services here at First Presbyterian Church in Columbia, Missouri. Find us at youtube.com/FPC Columbia. Take care, and God bless.